Hey guys, my name is Monica and welcome back to my channel. Yeah, I guess if you were a fan at all, or very a little, out of my 64 and 7 subscribers that I have so far, you probably guessed that I have been posting for a year and more than that. I'm sorry about that if any of you even like cared or just waited for me or anything like that. I'm really sorry. School and self-doubt and everything like that got in the way. And I think there is this person or this YouTuber that I found that wasn't a booktube channel YouTuber, but just was in general of another kind, said to shoot for the stars. And I was like, you know what? My life only happens once. So here we are. There's no fancy quote there, but there you go. So the videos that I wanted to make in the past, after my first one, I had tons of ideas, but I feel like the only one that I feel like kind of fits best, or at least kind of knows me a little bit for me more, and of course we could start anywhere, but I thought about doing the video that I'm doing now, which is in the title, and as I'm gonna say, the middle school book recommendations. So yeah. Okay, so basically there's that. So let's get started. The first one that I'm gonna do is Amulet by some guy's name I can't really pronounce. It's a Japanese name. It's kind of like a graphic novel in its sense. But it's about these two children named Emily and Naven. So what happens, which I'll read in the back, is after a family tragedy, Emily, Naven, and their mother moved to an ancestral home to start a new life. On the family's very first night in the mysterious house, Em and Naven's home is kidnapped by a tentacled creature. Now it's up to Em and Naven to figure out how to set things right and save their mother's life. So, besides the other series and the other books that I'm going to talk about, this series I've kind of read throughout the time being, but I've never really finished it, so I kind of have like a broad sense of the summary and the whole story in general. But this is really good. It's a graphic novel. It has really beautiful like pictures and everything, and it's really mysterious. It's very adventurous and a very good way of saying that it's a middle school book, of course. And it's something that you would find in like some Disney Channel type of like Gravity Fall-esque, even though that's not really a good comparison, but you know what I mean. So it's really cool, and this is the first book, but one of my friends gifted me the whole set alongside book 9. So there's that. It's really good of a series, and one I need to pick up myself, so there's really that. And my first impressions on this series, though, other than that, was that I was so in love with it. I was ready to fall in love with this series, and the last thing I knew, I didn't pick up this series again. But regardless, it's so cool, and it's very much like those type of like supernatural magic, a little bit of like, not like Harry Potter, like not like the fantasy magic, but supernatural type of magic. It's really cute, and I mean, it's not really that cute, but but you know what I mean. It's very adventurous and all that type of stuff. Okay, so the next one that I'm gonna pick up as a series, which I actually did read. Okay, so update. I don't have the first book, so that's a great way how to start this all. But necessarily, there's this. The first book is called The Undercover Princess by Connie Glenn. It's about these two girls named Ellie and Lottie. Lottie's the main character, but Ellie is the secondary. But regardless, it's about these two girls, and Lottie goes on this very prestigious Hogwarts-esque type of like boarding school for like high schoolers, you could say. And she goes down a scholarship, and she goes there, and she's going with all these like rich kids and all the famous like daughters and sons of so-and-so, and she's ready to take on the world and ready to do this because she came from a very small town from here. And after that, alongside ways, she has a roommate named Ellie, And then after that, they kind of like mismatch. They're very much are like yin and yang. Where Lottie's she's a blonde girl and she loves princesses, whereas Ellie's a very much like, she has black hair and she's like kind of like a quote unquote emo kid. But basically what happens is that the circumstances that happened, Lottie realized that Ellie is the princess of Meridova. And so what happens is that as a secret, they basically switch places, and not really as like their names for sake, but Lottie becomes the princess as people know it, and Ellie becomes the normal girl. And how that kind of entails is something you have to read. It's the Undercover Princess, and Princess in Practice, and yes, I have 2 copies of these, so there's that. And then there's The Lost Princess, which apparently, I didn't realize this, I have other 2 copies of this. And then I have the 4th book, which is Princess at Heart. And then there's a 2nd book called Princess Ever After, which I still haven't read, which, you know, I still have to get to as well, but it's okay. So yes, it was just an ongoing pattern of me just not really finishing, not really reading much, but it's okay. But other than that, for my commentary of this series, basically, this series is really great. If you love Princess Program, if you love princesses, and if you love Harry Potter, you would love all 3 of these. It's very girly, it's very much like the typical type of things, but it's very much full of mystery and drama and friendship, and it's very, and forewarn you, this isn't the best type of writing per se, which is understandable. It does the job well. It's very enjoyable, which I think it's the overall factor, but it has some heart to it, and it has really cuteness, and if you're looking for the greatest piece of writing, this is probably not it. But if you're looking for a good time and for all the mysteries and the whimsical things to happen, it's very good. And just seeing it as like a book in itself, I would totally see this as a movie as well, since like the description in it and the foreshadowing is really amazing. And Connie herself used to be a YouTuber. She still kind of is here and there, but she's more on the music side now and everything like that. If you find her YouTube channel, you would find that. But she did this as a way to contribute her like aesthetic at the time, and it really does the job well, and I would totally do a whole review on it if I ever had to reread it again. But that series is basically my Harry Potter at the time, and I remember all the memories that comes from it. So I totally recommend, especially, well, to anyone. It doesn't have to be the girls. This 3rd one that I have to say is my baby, my joy, the love of my life, which I'm not trying to exclude any of the ones I just said, but it's The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. But basically, yes, The Chronicles of Narnia. This series, to me, to put it in a nutshell, I'm not gonna go so in depth since I already kind of pin it as like my special one per se, but in general, this series is to start off, which I feel like that's what everyone does if they ever have a review over it, is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. So in this series, there's a group of characters that goes through the same journey, which is goes to Narnia, adventure time, something happens, and all that in between. And to start off, the first book per se, there's also a chronological version and publication version, and I totally recommend the publication version. And if you know, you know. But always start The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the best guess for me. And there's tons of reasons why, which I won't go in between. But basically, this story is about these 4 kids, and Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. They, after the war aids and the World War II, they went to this professor's house, they found a wardrobe, and everything that happens. It's a great time. If you know this story, since it's very classic, you probably know. But this story is basically good way to start off, and everything in between is basically from this book to Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, Horse and His Boy, very underrated, but also something else too. The Magician's Nephew, very underrated as well. And The Last Battle. This cover that was not really the best, but it's my own opinion. But basically, yes. So my commentary on this series is, other than like the whole adventure, you know, family, friendship, victory, and all that, and also it's based off of Christianity, which entails, you know what it is. It's a story for all people. It's not just for kids alike, even though this is a middle school book recommendation. I only just gave it as such because I read it in middle school. But it's a story that is so timeless, so classic, but something that's so sweet and simple. And even though it's not everyone's cup of tea, the people who do find a cup of tea, is honestly, it's one of the most amazing adventures you ever experience. And it's really great. I totally recommend, especially if you want to return to it. It's a great way to start. The fourth one that I wanted to say is The Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. This book, and as everyone knows, is a timeless classic. But to give a summary for this story, which basically, in the first book it summarizes, Greg Heffley finds himself thrust into a middle school where undersized weaklings like himself share the hallways with much bigger kids who are already shaving. But nothing scares Greg more than the moldy piece of cheese on the blacktop. Can he and his best friend Raleigh Jefferson make it through the year without getting the cheese touch? But, of course, as everyone knows, the rest of the books and how million more that this author will milk out, but, okay, quote-unquote milk out, but make, is, you know, it's classic. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it. I don't have to explain it so many times, but it's iconic. That's why you should read it. Basically. The fifth one that I'm gonna describe is The Land of Stories series by Chris Colfer. To describe this series is a lot. There's 6 books, which starts from The Wishing Spell, Enchantress Returns, Grim Warning, Beyond the Kingdom, Author's Odyssey, and Worlds Collide. And out of these 6 books, it follows 2 twins named Connor and Alex Bailey, I'm going to describe the first book, happens where after an accident that happens to them, they ended up obtaining the book that their grandmother used to read fairy tales with. It's called The Land of Stories, just as the series is. And what happens is, throughout that time, circumstances ended up being pushed into the whole book in itself, into the world of The Land of Stories. And what happens is, in that time, they have to figure out what to do, how to get out. And with that, they found the Wishing Spell, which is called the first book as well. And with that, they have to discover the world and try to get all these items to find the Wishing Spell and everything like that. And so they have to go around the land and all that type of stuff. And it's a really good time. Other than the classic adventures and everything like that, just to see the old Grimm fairy tales and to see the creatures of it all, and also the sibling bond is something that is so amazing and so really cute. And it's not the best, but it does a really good job to introduce the story. My favorite, though, is book 3. And it's so cool, and it gets to see the whole thing of itself, which it's really good. I totally recommend. And after 3 onwards, kind of debatable, but the 6th book is really great. It's a really good ending. So there's that. And also it's by Chris Colfer, who, as probably people know as like the Glee Man from Glee. I wouldn't put the Glee Man, but you know what I mean. Yeah. 6th book that I wanted to recommend, or the series, is basically called the Serafina series by Robert Beatty. This one is kind of special to my heart as well, just because of all the memories, and also it's kind of right up my alley. People who know me that I love good fantasy, I love good adventure, but one of the things that I really love the most is I just love a supernatural feeling to it, like feeling eerie, feeling all that, because, you know, great stories have great impact, but also it has great, like, feelings towards it that, like, one reads, you know. I mean, if you're readers who read this, you know the feeling of, like, a great suspense and all that type of stuff. This is totally what Seraphina series is to me. So, to give a description, it's in the 1800s. It's about this girl named Seraphina, and she's half mountain lion, such a panther, I can't really remember, half human. And at night, she goes to the Blitmore estate, which is an actual estate in North Carolina. And she actually goes there and searches the hotel and everything and tries to get scrap food or anything like that. But there's one day that someone caught her. And so what happens is that she has a father who basically is like an electrician or plumber there and like the underground of the Blitmore estate. But one time she actually went up and someone caught her. And so through that, they kind of have to integrate her in part of the society, not in a way of like she took away her father, or her father, not the whole separation of the father and the daughter thing, but in a way where she ended up being friends with one of the head couple's Blitmore's son, named Brandon Vanderbilt. And so they kind of became friends over that, and they discover mysteries along the way. And one of them, like, I think what happens is that someone with a black cloak comes into town, and it's a whole thing about that. But I think with that alone, it's really good. I really recommend. 7th book that I want to recommend is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. It's about this boy named Bod, and he lives in a graveyard. He lives there his whole life. And it's the adventures that he has and all that and everything in between. And it's, from what I remember from my 8th grade English class, it's very well done, and I loved it so much. Like in 8th grade, I still remember I didn't really care until we got to the romance part. Those were the times. But the eerie of it and the mystery and the creativity of it is really what Neil Gaiman really does with his books, and especially with Graveyard Book and everything that you probably guys know, as Neil Gaiman is really famous with his other works as well. In conclusion, that's really it for now. There's so many books I could entail, as I said before, but I think the ones I really want to drive home is the ones that I've kind of took out and took into my heart a couple of years to share to all of you guys. And maybe this isn't really the most unique middle school book recommendation or many more, but it's ones I hope to share with your heart as much as has it captured my own. I hope you guys enjoy these recommendations, and tell me in the comments if you ever read them. Let me know and everything like that. Shout out to the rooftops if you have to. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope to keep up to date with this YouTube channel. Have a great day. See you guys later. Bye! Hey, I just want to put this in there before anyone notices. I renamed my Chronicles of Book channel to Chronicles of Monica channel, because other than it's just my name, I kind of want to have a niche of not just books and all that type of stuff. It'll still be a thing. It'll be stories and all that, but I kind of wanted to do stories of all types of media and my own stories, like what I write, in gaming, which could be the forms of like mobile games and like actual video games and all that type of stuff, and video essays, of course, and anything that I could think of and all that type of stuff. And I just hope you enjoy the ride, because I mean, yeah. Yeah, who wouldn't, It's me. Let's go.